We have a question here. When do we Muslims know when the right time for jihad fi sabilillah is?
Wallahi,
What do we look for?
the mic is too close to your mouth. I can't.
Sorry. When do we Muslims know when the right time for jihad fi sabilillah is? What do we look for?
Okay, when the right time comes, will come. Don't worry. It's going to be there. When the time comes, will come. See, sometimes we talk about jihad and we want to go jihad. But I ask you the question, are you ready for jihad? This is the question. Are you ready for jihad? Because the reality is we are not ready for jihad. Once we are ready for jihad, you're going to find Allah open the doors of jihad to us. In Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in Nabi alayhi salatu wa sallam was with the companions for how many? 15 years, and Allah did not even open the doors of jihad to them. It's Allah that opens the doors of jihad when you are ready for jihad. When you are ready for jihad, you find Allah opens the doors and the means for you to make jihad. But when you're ready, get to that level of being ready, then talk about when it's going to be. We want to know, I want to practice being a doctor and I haven't even been into a clinic in my life. I want to practice a mechanic and I've never ever been in a mechanic shop. When you're ready, talk about it. But usually we like to, you know why we like to talk about jihad? Because we look hectic. We look good, we look cool. You know, talk about other things. Talk about waking up for Fajr. Talk about reading the Quran. Talk about your manners. Isn't manners jihad? Didn't the Prophet Muhammad say, the closest people to me in Nahi after are those with good manners? Why don't people talk about good manners? Why those people who talk about jihad don't talk about having good manners? I want to know that. Why you take in one part of the deen and you leave another part of the deen as if the entire deen is jihad? Let me see that. This is only ignorant statements. Ignorant people with ignorant statement that have no understanding of the deen, have no understanding of the sharia, have a tough background, who want to show Islam and make Islam according to their way. You come into Islam the way Islam is. You don't bring Islam and fit it into yourself. You fit yourself into Islam. You don't bring Islam and fit it into yourself and cut it from whoever you want so it fits you. This is the true religion. This is the true submission to Allah. That you submit to the teachings of Islam. Not that you bring Islam and you want it to submit to your thoughts and your desires. The moment that we start understanding Islam, why don't we focus on issues? Yani sometimes I see people talk about that and you find their manners ridiculous. I assure you, if the Prophet ﷺ was around, he would never ever take you to jihad. Because you have the most disgusting manners. Fix your manners. Isn't fixing manners from the jihad? Why is it you don't take it as jihad and you want to go and die on battlefield? Fixing your manners is jihad. Respecting your mother and your father, that's jihad. Why don't you do that? I want to know these people. Why don't they do that? Why don't they, have good relationship? Why don't they have good relationship with their wives? Why don't they have good relationship with their husbands? This is jihad within itself. A man comes to the Prophet Muhammad and tells him, "O Messenger of Allah, I want to go jihad with you." Nabi says, "Do you have a mother alive or a father alive?" He said, "Both of them." Nabi said, "Go back and do jihad with looking after them." Why don't we do this jihad? The jihad of having good manners. The jihad of having good relationship with our parents. The jihad of having good relationship with our wives. The jihad of having good relationship with our husbands. The jihad of having good relationship with our kids. The jihad of having good relationship with our neighbors. Why we don't do that? You know why? Because that's practical and we don't want to do it. The other one is good talk and we talk about it, to share. But in reality, we're nothing. This is the reality, The reality is, as one of the scholars said, we love the concept of dying for the sake of Allah, but we don't love the concept of living for the sake of Allah. We love the concept of dying for the sake of Allah. You know why? Because it's easy. Die. But we don't like the concept of living for the sake of Allah, because when you live for the sake of Allah, it means that you have to start oppressing, or you have to start going against your nafs. You have to start doing the right thing. You have to get up for Fajr. You have to pray your prayers on time. You have to be nice to those that you have to be nice to, even though you don't want to be nice to. You have to be good. You have to be generous. You have to be well-mannered. You have to have good morals. You have to have good ethics. You have to have good discipline. We don't like that. Why? That's hard for us. That's hard for us to implement. We need to learn how to live for the sake of Allah, not just die for the sake of Allah. At this moment, we are in a state and a stage to live for the sake of Allah. And when that time comes to die for the sake of Allah, it will come. But live for the sake of Allah. Do the proper jihad. Who's that? Is that a mujahid or something? No. Okay, we need to start learning how to live for the sake of Allah, and that time comes when you want to die for the sake of Allah. Now,